What if I told you that the people who seem the most exposed, the most open, the most emotionally raw, are actually the ones with the most control over their lives? It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? We've been conditioned to believe that power comes from dominance, from invulnerability, from being untouchable. We idolize the unshakable, the ones who never flinch, the ones who never show weakness. But what if that entire perspective is flawed? What if true power does not come from building walls, but from tearing them down? What if the people who allow themselves to be vulnerable are actually the ones who possess the deepest strength, the ones who wield the most control over their own existence? Because here's the truth: the more you shield yourself from life, the more you become a prisoner to fear. And the moment you embrace vulnerability, the moment you stop running from what makes you human, is the moment you reclaim your freedom. Think about it. How much of your life has been shaped by fear of exposure? How many times have you held back your true thoughts, your true emotions, your true desires, because you were afraid of how others would perceive you? How many times have you chosen silence over honesty, distance over connection, comfort over growth? And why? Because you were afraid of being hurt, afraid of rejection, afraid of being seen for who you truly are. But here's the paradox: the more you try to protect yourself, the more you become controlled by what you fear. The more you avoid vulnerability, the more fragile you become. A person who refuses to be vulnerable is like a fortress with no windows. The walls may be strong, but inside it is dark, suffocating, and lifeless. And yet, we convince ourselves that this is what strength looks like. We tell ourselves that if we just harden enough, if we just suppress enough, if we just pretend enough, we will be safe. But safe from what? Safe from feeling. Safe from living. Safe from experiencing the very thing that makes life meaningful.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Now, let's flip the script. What happens when you embrace vulnerability instead of fearing it? What happens when you stop hiding? The moment you do, something incredible happens. You take control. Because vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is truth. And truth is the most powerful force in existence. When you are vulnerable, you are no longer controlled by fear, by pretense, by the exhausting need to maintain an illusion. You are free. You are real. And nothing is more unshakable than a person who has nothing to hide. Think about the people who inspire you the most. Are they the ones who pretend to be perfect? Or are they the ones who have the courage to be raw, to be honest, to be fully, unapologetically themselves? The ones who admit their fears, their struggles, their failures, and yet stand tall anyway. That is true strength. That is true control. Because when you are vulnerable, no one can use your truth against you. No one can manipulate you with shame. No one can trap you in fear. You own yourself completely. And that is the ultimate power. But let's go deeper. Why do we resist vulnerability in the first place? Because at some point we learned that it was dangerous. Maybe as children we expressed our emotions only to be told to toughen up. Maybe we shared a dream only to be laughed at. Maybe we opened our hearts to someone and were met with rejection, betrayal, or indifference. And in that moment, we made a decision: I will never let myself be hurt like this again. So we built walls. We learned to hide. We learned that pretending was safer than being real. But here's the thing, those walls that were meant to protect us, they don't just keep pain out, they keep everything out. They keep love out, they keep connection out, they keep joy out, and worst of all, they keep us out. Because the more we suppress, the more we lose touch with who we really are. And in the end, we are not safe, we are just numb. But there is a way out, and it starts with a single decision, the decision to stop running, the decision to stop numbing, the decision to stop letting fear dictate your life. Vulnerability is not about recklessness. It's not about spilling every thought to every person. It's about choosing not to live in fear. It's about being willing to be seen, to be known, to be real. And yes, it is terrifying. Yes, it means you will get hurt. Yes, it means that not everyone will understand you, accept you, or appreciate you. But here's the secret, that was always going to happen anyway. No matter how much you hide, no matter how much you pretend, no matter how much you try to control how the world sees you. The difference is that when you are vulnerable, you are no longer living for their approval. You are living for you. And that is the greatest freedom of all. So now, the question is, are you ready? Are you ready to stop hiding? Are you ready to let go of the illusion of control that has kept you trapped? Are you ready to step into the kind of power that does not come from pretending, but from being? Because if you are, then everything will change. Your relationships will become deeper because you will no longer fear being seen. Your confidence will become unshakable because you will no longer rely on validation. Your decisions will become clearer because you will no longer be acting from fear, but from truth. And most importantly, you will finally be free. Because the greatest control you can ever have is not over how others see you, it is over how you see yourself. And when you own every part of who you are, when you stop running from your own vulnerability, when you realize that nothing is more powerful than being real, then, and only then, will you understand what it truly means to be in control of your life. If you've made it this far, you already feel something shifting inside you. You've begun to question everything you've been taught about strength, power, and control. You've started to see that maybe, just maybe, the way you've been protecting yourself has actually been keeping you trapped. And now, the question lingers in your mind, what would happen if I truly embraced vulnerability? Because if you do, if you allow yourself to step fully into it, to stop hiding, to stop pretending, you will experience a kind of freedom most people will never know. But here's the problem. Even when we begin to understand the power of vulnerability, even when we feel its truth deep in our bones, there is still resistance. A voice inside us that whispers, but what if it's not safe? What if I get hurt? What if I lose everything? And that voice is strong. That voice has been with us for years, maybe even our entire lives. It is the voice of survival, the voice of self-protection, the voice that has kept us from fully stepping into who we are. And so, even as we long for freedom, even as we crave deep, authentic connection, we hesitate. We hold back. We tell ourselves that maybe one day we'll open up. Maybe one day we'll stop pretending. Maybe one day we'll allow ourselves to be fully seen. But that day never comes because fear does not disappear on its own. It must be faced. So now, let's face it. What is it that we are truly afraid of? Not just on the surface, but deep down? Are we afraid of rejection, of failure, of judgment, or is it something even deeper? The truth is, what we fear most is not just the pain of being seen, it is the loss of the identity we have built around our fear. We have spent so much time constructing a version of ourselves that feels safe, that feels acceptable, that feels in control. And if we let go of that, if we strip away the armor, if we stand before the world as we truly are, then who will we be? This is the real fear. The fear of stepping into the unknown. The fear of realizing that everything we thought made us strong, our defenses, our masks, our strategies for control, were actually the very things holding us back. But here is the paradox. The moment we surrender the need to control how the world sees us, we gain the ultimate control over our lives. Because what is control really? Is it the ability to manipulate how others perceive us? Is it the ability to avoid pain, to avoid discomfort, to avoid uncertainty? Or is it something deeper? True control is not found in avoidance. It is found in acceptance. It is found in the radical decision to be fully, unapologetically yourself, no matter the consequences. It is found in the ability to stand firm in your truth, even when the world does not understand you. It is found in the courage to be open, to be real, to be vulnerable, not because it guarantees safety, but because it guarantees freedom. Think about the people you admire most. The ones who have left a lasting impact on the world. Were they the ones who hid behind a facade of perfection? Or were they the ones who dared to be raw, to be real, to be fully themselves? The artists, the visionaries, the leaders who changed history, did they do so by playing it safe, by suppressing their emotions, by pretending to be something they were not? No, they did it by embracing their humanity, and by allowing themselves to be seen, by stepping into the world unguarded, knowing that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a superpower. And you have that same power, right now, in this moment. But here's the catch. Embracing vulnerability does not mean you will never feel fear again. It does not mean you will never experience pain, or rejection, or failure. It means you will no longer be ruled by those things. You will no longer shape your life around the avoidance of discomfort. You will no longer let the fear of being seen keep you from showing up as your true self. Because here's the ultimate truth. There is no real safety in hiding. There is only stagnation. There is only the slow, suffocating death of everything that makes life worth living. And the longer you wait, the more you lose. The more you lose of yourself. The more you lose of your potential. The more you lose of the deep, meaningful connections that can only be formed when you allow yourself to be fully seen. So now, the question is not what if I get hurt? The question is what if I never allow myself to truly live? Because pain is inevitable. Rejection is inevitable. Failure is inevitable. But what is also inevitable is the fact that you have a choice, right now. A choice to break free from the illusion of control that has kept you small. A choice to step into the kind of power that does not come from pretending, but from being. A choice to stop running from yourself and start owning every part of who you are. And yes, it will be terrifying. Yes, there will be moments when you want to retreat back into the safety of old patterns. But if you push through, If you keep choosing vulnerability, if you keep choosing truth, then what awaits you on the other side is something beyond fear, beyond pain, beyond anything you have ever known. Absolute freedom. The freedom to exist without apology. The freedom to love without walls. The freedom to create, to express, to live fully without the weight of pretense. And that, more than anything else, is what it means to have true control over your life. Not the control that comes from manipulation or suppression, but the control that comes from knowing, without a doubt, that you are fully, unapologetically yourself. So now, the final question: are you ready? Are you ready to stop hiding? Are you ready to let go of the fear that has kept you confined? Are you ready to step into the kind of strength that does not come from avoiding pain, but from embracing it? Because if you are, then everything will change. The way you see yourself, the way you move through the world, and the way you connect with others. And once you step into this power, once you truly own it, you will never go back. Because you will finally understand what it means to be free. Not free from pain, not free from uncertainty, but free from the illusion that you ever needed to be anything other than exactly who you are. And when you reach that place, when you stop running, stop pretending, stop fearing the truth of your own existence, that is when you will finally, truly, be in control of your life.